This is Seymour Rocks reporting from down under. The Hutt River is at half its flow compared with last year, which was also a very dry year. Still, the water authorities, operating on a purely commercial mandate, are allowed to extract water until it is running at half of what it is now. So I moved to report on this further since Pam and I made a bit of a futile attempt to try and find Kaitoki Weir, which is where the Wellington region extracts half of its water from. We were totally unsuccessful in finding it and ended up on a very steep tramping track instead. So we had to sort of give up. In fact, actually, we didn't even find the river itself. And we were very, very close to Rivendell, which appeared in The Lord of the Rings, which was another fascinating thing. But we are going on a tour this coming weekend, a bus tour, so we should be able to report fully on it. Anyway, let's start. So I can't really get my head around the fact that I report on this every year. I shout out to the world, and nobody seems to be taking any notice. And you can see it from this DuckDuckGo report. So apart from local government, New Zealand and Fish and Game, etc., who's reporting it? Who's on second on here? Ah, yes, it's Muggins. So yeah, that gives an indication, doesn't it, of just kind of how widespread the concern about all of this is. So yeah, and I also wonder, because no one has shown any interest or concern about this. They're all talking about kind of preparing for the 100-year flood, although that has more, I think, to do with stimulating the local economy with more development. So there we are. So I mean, really, let's just have a look here. This is what this article says. If a major fire were to break out in Gisborne, there's not enough water in the district to put it out, officials are warning. A total ban on outdoor water usage in the district is in place, which means no sprinklers, no hoses, washing cars or dog or filling pools until reservoirs fill back up. The city is continuing to use 1 million litres of water a day. If the high use, profligate use, continues, it will take days to refill our reservoirs. Gisborne District Council spokeswoman Jade Lister-Batty said in a statement. And the same thing is happening down in Tasman, where the fires have been in there in an unprecedented drought. But still, no problem whatsoever. So let's just, if I can get it up, let's just have a quick look. Just bear me with me for a moment. Okay, let's just see what it all looks like. Sorry about the music. So here, this is quite different from last year when it was extremely dry. The river is only running at half its rate, and you can see it here with all the algae and everything else. Look at that. This is our pristine river that people used to be able to swim in until recent years. Yeah, so there we are. So let's just have another look. So this, if I can open this up. This is the fact of the matter. So at the just a wee bit downstream from where I was, we were taking these photographs, perhaps a kilometre downstream. These are the figures. Last year they were announcing, well actually they announced watering restrictions quite quickly, and then they removed them just as quickly. So that's, I've taken figures from exactly the same date on different years. So last year 6.9 cubic meters per second, and now it's just a little bit over one half of that at 3.5 cubic meters per second. And of course, if you look at the photographs, you can just see what that looks like. So, and here we are. This is the flow rate for this year. It's very hard, but what I took was this absolute figure up here as the important one, and I'll just quickly bring up and this is for last year. Well, you can't really tell very much from that, so I'm just going to show you this instead. This is the flow rates for the last few years. So there's a couple of exceptions there. Well, the main exception was 2017, which had 40.53 cubic meters per second. So I think sometime just before that there must have been a major rain event which skewed the fixtures somewhat. So here we are. We have the lowest readings ever in the last 10 years at 3.2, and oh no, apart from 2015 is the only exception. So we have the second lowest flow rate in 10 years in the Hutt River. So the other thing that I regard as being highly important, oh God, what have I done now? Oh. So Kaitoki Weir is the place where they extract the water. It comes from the confluence, I think, of the east and the west Hutt rivers, and then further down stream it is joined by the Akataro River and probably numerous streams along the way. So at Kaitoki is where they take the water from. New Zealand Water is the water company. It's a private water company. It was separated off from the regional council, which has an interest in water conservation and fish and everything that goes with managing a river. But this New Zealand Water was split off, and its only mandate is to provide water for the Wellington region, and they're taking greater amounts of water because there's so much development happening. They're mandated to keep taking water until it reaches 0.6 cubic meters per second, or they give it as 600 litres per second. So the current level of water at Kaitoki is now just over 1 cubic meter per second. So we're roughly at sort of double what their limitations, what their consent says. So if you can imagine looking at this stream, if you half the flows now, then that's what they're allowed to do. So this figure shows the different flow rates in at Kaitoki for the last few years. So as you can see, apart from 2017 again, when it was very high, yeah, 1.7 cubic meters per second is by far and above the lowest rate. So yeah, so we have continuing sort of need for development. We're on the race for 5 million in this country. We're putting more and more demands on our water resources, on our infrastructure, whilst at the same time we've got less and less water and less quality of water with every year. So something has got to really give, and I suspect with abrupt climate change that these things are not going to, it's not just a phase and we're going to go back to normal sometime in the future. I really do believe this is a trend. Anyway, that's enough for now. That's Seymour Rocks reporting from down under.